Second unit in wireless communication is cellular architecture. So first we are going to see the cellular concept here. The cellular concept was a major breakthrough in solving the problem of spectral congestion and user capacity. It offered very high capacity in a limited spectrum. Each cellular base station is allotted a group of radio channels to be used within a small geographic area called cells. So here we use some multiple low power transmitter. Areas are divided into cells, each served by its own antenna, served by base station consisting of transmitter, receiver and control unit. Band of frequencies allocated. Cells set up such that antennas of all neighbors are equidistant, that is hexagonal pattern. So next we are going to see the cellular network architecture. So this is the architecture. So each cell have separate antennas. Here the mobile switching center will be in the center. The public telephone network and internet given in the right side. This will be in the wired network. Then here in the cell structure we can determine by the desired received signal level by the mobile subscriber from its base station transmitter in its operating area, ideal, actual and fictitious cell model. So these are the hexagonal cells which will be fictitious, but ideally we will have in the circular form, but realistic we will not have any shape. These are the signal coverages cells. A cell with a CS and a mobile is given here. So central station CS in the center part, then mobile M that will be movable and car will be movable. So inside the cell you will be having all this. So ideal cell will be circular, but fictitious cell will be in the hexagonal. Square shape of a cell also represented. So cell site that is CS is in the center part. So here the hexagonal cellular geometry is offers best possible non-overlapped cell radio coverage. Multiple hexagons can be arranged next to each other. The hexagons covers the large area, simplifies the planning and design of the cellular system. So hexagonal cellular geometry is represented here. Then cellular cluster is nothing but a group of cells that use a different set of frequency in each cell is represented as cluster. Only selected number of cells can form a cluster, can be repeated any number of times in a systematic manner. The cluster size is the number of cells within it and designated by K. So hexagonal cluster pattern is represented here for 1 cell, 3 cell, 4 cell, 7 cell, 9 cell, 12 cell and 13 cell. Next, conventional mobile communication. So this is one of the very powerful transmitter located at the highest spot in an area, would broadcast in a radius of up to 50 km. So the limitation for this is high power consumption, low capacity, large size of the mobile. So system design problem. So main limitation of a conventional mobile wireless communication system is minimum availability of frequency spectrum. So the big challenge is to serve large number of mobile users within limited allocated frequency spectrum with a specified system quality. Next we are going to see about the system capacity and the spectrum utilization. Here the need is optimum spectrum usage, more capacity, high quality of service and low cost. So how to increase the capacity and spectrum utilization. So possible solution is frequency reuse. Reuse allocated RF spectrum or a given set of frequencies in a given large geographical service area without increasing the interference. We can divide the surface area into a number of small areas called cells, allocate a subset of frequencies to each cell. We can use low power transmitter with lower height antennas at the base station. So next, frequency reuse concept. So here large coverage area, efficient spectrum utilization and enhanced system capacity are the major attributes of cellular communication. Frequency reuse is the core concept of cellular communications. The design process of selecting and allocating channel groups for all the cellular base station within a system is called frequency reuse. This is the illustration of frequency reuse. Here next, core channel and adjacent channel cell. So cells which use the same set of frequencies are referred to as core channel cell. Core channel cells are located sufficiently physically apart so as not to cause core channel interference. The space between adjacent core channel cells filled with the other cell that use different frequencies to provide frequency isolation. So technical issue here is proper design and planning of a cellular network, selection of a suitable frequency reuse pattern, analysis of the relationship between the capacity, cell size and the cost of the infrastructure, cluster size and cell capacity. In a cellular system, the whole geographical surface area is divided into a number of clusters having finite number of cells. The k number of cells in a cluster use the complete set of available frequency channel capital N. Each cell in the cluster contains j equal to n by k number of channels only. Therefore, n equal to j into k, where j will be less than or equal to capital N. So cluster size and system capacity. The cluster can be replicated many times to cover the desired geographical area by a cellular communication system. Let m be a number of cluster in the system, then overall system capacity C is given as C equal to m into n. Here the C equal to m into j into k, where n equal to j into k. When k is reduced, j is proportionally increased since n equal to j into k is constant. To increase core channel interference. Next, core channel cells. Cells which use the same set of frequency are referred to as core channel cell. The interference between core channel cell is referred to as core channel interference. The space between adjacent core channel cells are filled with the cells using different frequencies. So these are the representation of the core channel cell. Shift parameters I and j in a hexagonal geometry. The shift parameters I and j are separated by 60 degrees in a hexagonal geometry. It can have any integer value 0, 1, 2. These can be used to determine the location of core channel cell. So the diagram is represented here for the I value and j value. If it is 1 and 2, if it goes on like that. So next, method to locate the core channel cell. Rules for determining the nearest core channel cell using shift parameter I, j to lay out a cellular system is given here in the stepwise. So first step for determining the nearest core channel cell is first move I number of cells along any side of a hexagonal. Then second step is turn 60 degree anti-clockwise. Then step 3 is move j number of cells where I and j are shift parameters and can have integer value of 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. Next, core channel cells for I equal to 3 and j equal to 2 is given here. So I number of times we are going to move along here any direction from a cell, and then we will take the rotation for 60 degree, and then again we will move the j number of times, that is 2 times from that cell. So that will represent the core channel cell for the particular cell. Then frequency reuse distance D. So here reusing an identical frequency channel in different cells is limited by co-channel interference between cell. The co-channel interference can become a major problem in cellular communication. It is desirable to find the minimum frequency reuse distance D in order to reduce this co-channel interference. So factor which influence capital D is the number of co-channels in the vicinity of the center cell, the antenna height, the transmitted power at each cell site. Here you note it, as long as the cell size is fixed, co-channel interference is independent of transmitted power of each cell. So frequency reuse ratio Q. So Q is given as D by R. Q is also referred to as the co-channel reuse ratio, the co-channel reuse factor, co-channel interference reduction factor. So Q equal to D by R ratio is nothing but the real power of the cellular concept is that interference is not related to the absolute distance between cells but related to ratio of the distance between co-channel, that is same frequency cells to the cell radius. So frequency reuse advantages and disadvantages are given here. So advantages are nothing but the frequency reuse system can be increase the spectrum efficiency, thereby increasing the system capacity. If the system is not properly designed, co-channel interference may occur due to the simultaneous use of the same channel will be the disadvantage for the frequency reuse. Next, co-channel interference. The interference between signals from co-channel channel cells, unlike thermal noise which can be overcome by increasing the signal to noise ratio, co-channel interference cannot be combated with by simply increasing the carrier power of the transmitter. This is because an increase in carrier transmit power increases the interference to neighboring co-channel cells. How it can be reduced? Increasing the separation between two co-channel cells, we can reduce the interference. Using directional antenna at the cell site also we can reduce it. Lowering the antenna height at the cell site, we can reduce the interference. So by using diversity scheme at the receiver side, you can minimize the interference. So next, adjacent channel interference. What is adjacent channel interference? It is nothing but interference resulting from signals which are adjacent in frequency to desired signal. Why does it occur? Which is result from imperfect receiver filter which allow nearby frequency to leak into the pass. How it can be reduced? Careful filtering and channel assignment will reduce it. By keeping the frequency separation between each channel in a given cell as large as possible, we can reduce that interference. By sequentially assigning successive channel in the frequency band also will reduce that interference to different cells. Next, interference is represented in the cell. So co-channel interference is represented in the darkened red color. Blue color represent adjacent channel interference. So the pink color represent co-channel cell and green color represent adjacent channel cells. Next, handoff technique. So handoff technique is nothing but when a mobile user travels from one cell to another cell within a call's duration, the calls would be transferred to the new cell's base station. Otherwise, the call will be dropped because the link with the current base station becomes too weak as the mobile reduces. This ability for transference is a design matter in mobile cellular system design and is called as handoff technique. See, handoff technique is represented in the diagram. So when a call handoff to the cell A from cell B is represented here. Next, handoff strategies. When his mobile moves into a different cell while a conversation is in progress, The MSC automatically transferred the call to a new channel belonging to the new base station. Handoff operation, identifying a new base station, reallocating the voice and control channel with the new base station. So handoff threshold is nothing but minimum usable signal for acceptable voice quality. Handoff margin values represented. If it is too large, unnecessary handoff burden the MSC. If it is too small, there may be insufficient time to complete the handoff before a call is. This is the diagram which represents the handoff technique. Proper handoff situation and improper handoff situation is given. Then handoff must ensure that the drop in the measured signal is not due to momentary fading and that the mobile is actually moving away from the serving base station. Running average measurement of signal strength should be optimized so that unnecessary handoff are avoided. Depends on the speed at which the vehicle is moving. Steep short-term average, the handoff should be made quickly. The speed can be estimated from the statistic of the received short-term fading signal at the base station. Dwell time, the time over which a call may be maintained within a cell without handoff is dwell time, which will depends on propagation, interference, distance and speed. So practical handoff consideration for the different type of user is: high speed user need frequent handoff during a call. Low speed user may never need a handoff during a call. The MSC becomes burdened if high speed users are constantly being paused between very small cells. So to minimize the handoff intervention, handle the simultaneous traffic of high speed and low speed user. So large and small cell can be located at a single location, that is called as umbrella cell approach. Different antenna's height, different power level. Cell dragging problem, that is pedestrian users provide a very strong signal to the base station. The user may travel deep within a neighborhood. So umbrella cell use different antenna heights and transmitter power level to provide large and small cell coverage. Multiple and transmitter can be co-located at single location if necessary. So large cell have high speed traffic, fewer handoff, but small cell will have speed traffic. Example areas: interstate highway passing through urban center, office park or nearby shopping mall center. So this is the large umbrella cell for high speed traffic and the small low speed. So why here we are splitting the cell and cell sectoring? As user increases, channel capacity decreases. Techniques are need to provide extra channel. So cell splitting and cell sectoring increases the capacity. So cell splitting, the process of subdividing a congested cell into smaller cell is called as cell splitting. So here each with its mode base station and a corresponding reduction in antenna height leads to increase in capacity. So the limitation of handoff are more frequent. Channel assignment becomes difficult. All cells are split simultaneously, so special care have to be taken for proper allocation of So cell sectoring is nothing but the co-channel interference in a cellular system may be reduced by placing a single omnidirectional antenna at the base station by several directional antenna radiating within the specified sectors. So this is represented for 120 degree and 60 degree. So advantages and limitations are given here. Then cell repeaters are nothing but in the cell phone industry is a device which is used for boosting the cell phone reception to the local area by the usage of reception antenna, a signal amplifier and an internal rebroadcast. This is the diagram for the next. Power control for reducing interference is given here. The need for power control also pointed out here. This is the diagram for power control with and without power. Thank you.